Hello, I'm Mark Sumner, host of the Channel Chat podcast show, and this is a special series during this COVID crisis where we'll be sharing the learnings, best practices, and failures and successes of all the channel leaders throughout the tech industry. So sit back, listen, and enjoy. Hi, I'm Mark Sumner, host of the Channel Chat podcast show, and today in the virtual studio, I have David McGinn from Daisy. How are we doing, David?
Hi everyone.
Good. Thanks so much for coming on. David, obviously, the first question I've asked anyone, and in some ways I'm bored of asking it because I have to ask everyone, how is it actually going for them in COVID? Because it is such a hot topic at the moment. So, for you guys at Daisy, how has it been adjusting to this sort of this new world as we're experiencing it?
I think it's a couple of parts. So first of all, unless you're my mum and you don't look like my mum, yeah, the only person, and she has a go at me when I say it's Dave, it is Dave unless you're my mum.
Okay.
You know what, the same as everyone else. There are some challenging times out there. I truly believe that as an industry, it's about how do we help organisations get through this. And I think what had happened, everybody said they had disaster recoveries all put in place, and they had, whether it's business continuity suites and everything, and that was designed for certain eventualities. I don't think there was many organisations out there that was designed for a pandemic.
No.
To make sure they got themselves in a position where they could work from home. I mean, I suppose we was lucky. We're in the industry, we've got the technology, we enabled 550 people, instantly to be working from home. I say instantly, it took us 3 weeks to get that instantly, but it was just about, everybody. And I remember, anecdotal, we had some customers phone up and, they were saying, what are you doing to make sure that you are fit for purpose, that you're ready, etc., etc. How do I know that you can be working from home? And as the person answered, said, I'm talking to you, I'm sitting at home on my bed. And this was a customer service call that had gone in via it was a premium customer services. And that was it. And if anything, I don't think as an organisation we've dropped the beat. Our Trustpilot is still maintained. Our CSAT, the measurement that we measure ourselves, is better than what it's ever been, and our NPS is at the highest level that we've ever been as an organisation. So I'm kind of, we're doing okay. I think the big call out at the moment, especially from me, is, we as an industry, we owe it to the whole of the country to make sure we get them working. We need these organisations to stay in business. We need our customers to come through. How do we help them do that? How do we make our technology enable, somebody working from home and just being completely engaged with all of their customers as well?
Yeah. Are you seeing it from a sort of, it's going in waves? Because what I've seen it, 4 or 5 weeks ago, grabbing technology and grabbing anything to get hold of, laptops, desktops, and going from home. Then there was a sort of a second wave sort of thing, actually, maybe I need to update my technology and get something a bit more robust. And now it seems to be just signs this week of almost like, actually, maybe I do need to get more infrastructure and more, better Wi-Fi and better headsets, etc. So are you seeing it in waves yourself from your customers?
I think that, so there has been waves. You're absolutely right. People muddled through at the beginning, and then just, I mean, I'd even got to the stage where I've gone, right, let's get 2 tins and a piece of string just in case everything else fails. We can still walk somewhere. So it was, where's the text machine? Where's the facsimile? Where's all, and so you are right. There are different waves that have happened. And I think the big wave is yet to happen. I think once people get through this, that's when the big wave will happen, because people have realised they've mustered together the bits and pieces, not as a really robust platform, but as a platform to get them through, as a life raft to get them through. But eventually they're going to want something different, something better. So I think there is a bigger wave that will come through at a later stage.
Yeah, and do you know what, David? As an end user customer myself, I'd echo that. You know, we've exactly what you've said's happened. We've muddled through. We've sort of like, were we agile? I'd say no, not a chance. You know, we've muddled through. We've got together. We're just adjusted to home working. It's been very, very challenging, but yet we haven't gone for the right. This is the solution we want full time. We're still thinking about that in the planning stage, but I can see that happening when we get to either June, July. That suddenly this fourth wave almost is going to come back like a tsunami for the tech world and sort of say, yeah, we need this infrastructure, we need this, we need 8x8 solutions or whatever it's going to be, and they need it on a permanent basis. So I definitely agree with you with that. One question I did want to ask you: do you think there'll be further consolidation in the market? Because some of these partners, maybe some of the smaller partners that we're dealing with, maybe they were specific in travel, they're specific in retail, or whatever it is, they're big customers that we're looking after are now decimated. Do you think there'll be further consolidation or potentially acquisitions of smaller companies that are running out of credit or running out of cash?
Yeah, without a doubt. You know, I mean, if there was consolidation before this happened, this is certain sectors. If you was working, without going in particular industries, there are some industries that have been hit slightly harder than others. And if your focus was 50% in that particular industry, you've still got a good business. You've just gone, you know what, the cash flow is not where it needs to be. I need to do something. I need to either get out or I think I was reading an article earlier on. It was talking about, what's the great measurements, etc. And it was like, do we measure multiples? Do we measure EBITDA? And at this moment in time, you measure cash. It's just about, what's the cash that's coming in. So I think there are going to be a lot of organisations or some organisations out there that will just be there, that will have some challenges, and that will look to consolidate and look to, get out. So I think there will be some casualties as well.
Yeah, and not meaning to be distasteful in the market, but obviously it's sad that obviously companies are going out of business, etc. And they will, and obviously I really feel for them. But for some businesses, there is going to be an opportunity in COVID as well, post-COVID. Now, I know Daisy was, renowned for acquisitions, etc. So after you come out of this, do you think there'll be an opportunity for Daisy to think, actually, we'll look at acquisitions still on the acquisition trail?
Yeah, I think we've grown our business on acquisitions, as you're aware. I don't think that we will stop looking at acquisitions that are the right type of acquisitions for us. And we still have that firmly on our agenda as to what we want to do to help. And you're right, there will be opportunities that will come out of this.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure we capitalise on that as well.
Obviously, as a leader of a communications company, I suppose your communications really had to go up with your staff. You mentioned about contacting people at the weekend and making sure they're okay. And it's not just about work; it's actually the well-being of them. Because before, you could have that chat by the water cooler or at lunchtime or whatever. Now you have to specifically think about calling them. Has your communication style as a leader changed with your staff? Not about work, about just their mental health and their well-being.
If I'd gone back 5 weeks, any of my staff will tell I hate being videoed. Yeah, it's just I don't know what it is. I just don't like it, and I have no choice. Over the last 5-6 weeks, it's just about you're constantly on some sort of collaboration tool in some guise or other. So, and I think I think everyone's working different now. I have before all of this happened, we was all looking as a business with all my direct reports and all my colleagues. We was looking at certain collaboration tools, with Teams and we couldn't quite get on the way we wanted it to, I suppose. The moment this has happened, we're now all experts. We now know how to share file. We embraced it. Everything else is, and we can be on the calls and it'll be, do you know how to do it? I've blurred the screen. I've done everything. So everyone becomes an expert in how to do it. And I think, the most important thing for me, if we talk about people, communication, how we engage, we've absolutely had to up our engagement with all of our staff. Whereas before we'd walk around the office and we'd maybe speak to people and see them, now we are updating staff every day. We're sending out messages every day, just daily daisies, and that's just to And that's not about us. That's just, that might be, someone's just had a baby, someone's just had this person's friend works at a doctor's. It's just all that nice, and you need to make sure you communicate. If you currently think you are communicating enough, you need to double it. You need, because at the end of the day, it's about that engagement with staff. And if you think to yourself before this, I kind of get hung up, and I've had presentations with my staff, and we talk about mental health day or mental health week, and you go, doesn't just happen for the week. It's a 365-day thing. And if before this, there was people with challenges. I don't know about you, but every now and then, I'm quite an upbeat person, but every now and then, even I think to myself, this is a challenge. And I quickly get through that. But how many people aren't doing that? How many people haven't got them around? And I started quite a while ago. I started urging people. You ring people. People say to me, what do you do in between your days of, you're on Teams, you're on Zoom, you're on Collaborate, you're on all these different things. What do you do to kind of relax? And the answer is, in between, I ring people.
Yeah.
I ring people and just talk to them. Because actually, one, it helps them, and well, maybe it helps them, but it definitely helps me.
Yeah.
It definitely helps me, and hopefully, in some form, it helps them as well.
Yeah, because do you know what, David? I really echo that, because I think when you're working, you're doing calls and you're doing meetings, etc., and you're working. And when you sort of stop, there is that sort of lull thinking, you can't go out, you can't go to a restaurant, you can't do this, you can't go that, you can't see your mates, you can't do a lot of things. And I don't know about, I've seen it come in waves with people. So 4 or 5 weeks ago, we're working from home, the world's ending. Then a couple of weeks, we're getting used to it. Then almost again in the last week, it's almost like, because they sort of see Germany sort of going, open it up a bit, and then it's obviously, their deaths have gone up, and we're going to go probably on lockdown again. It's almost like that, a bit of a lull again, to think, actually, this is tough. This isn't as easy as people are thinking. And I think that, whilst you're engaging with people on a work basis, if you don't find out what they're doing on their personal, especially your direct reports and your people in your teams, there's people out there, anxiety is going through the roof, mental health is going through the roof, loneliness or whatever, being isolated. It's absolutely, I'm hoping there's not going to be more problems than the cure of obviously COVID, because there's a real balancing act, and actually I don't know how to solve that problem, apart from, like you said, if in the communication what you're doing, double it, over communicate. There's never too much phone calls. If people are getting phone calls from their bosses at weekends, I actually think that's a good thing. That at the moment, that's a good thing, because some of them are going to actually welcome it, because they might not be getting a phone call from anyone else.
Correct. And I think that's, but I know that all of the team are all ringing each other. It's just constant. So I think that to me really, really is important. And do you know what? I don't worry about the things I can't do. I do focus on the things I can do. So I don't worry about, I can't go to the pub, but what can I do? Don't worry, I don't drink, but it's just, what are the things that I can do? What are the and what's going to get me through it? Because it's no good me worrying about what may or may not happen. I can't change that.
Yeah.
What I can change is what's in my my circle of influence. What can I do that's related to me? And and that's, to me, is about very much about people, very much about the employees that work for us as an organisation, and how do we protect them. And then I think the final part for me is not just being worried about them and being focused on them. It is about being focused on the organisations throughout the UK. You make a valid point earlier on that there are going to be some casualties. There are, and regardless of, and I mean casualties in business. Regardless of how, no matter what we do, isn't going to change that. You look at the travel industry. The travel industry is really having a hard time. Part of me does think, well, when we come through this, do we really focus on what we can do as a country? At the end of the day, what made Britain great at one stage? How can we, when they were talking about doing the scrubs and everything for the doctors and the nurses, all of a sudden the textile business in the UK started to come back to life again. You imagine if you get through that, and that continues, and we start making things ourselves. We start making it and consuming it. I mean, I see an article recently where they shipped or they flew quite a few people over, so they could go down into the farms and start picking the fruit and veg. You go, we've shipped people over. We're putting people on furlough. We've got unemployed people, etc., etc. How do we make sure that we consume that?
Yeah, absolutely. And my last question, and it's quite a big subject because sales has got to go on, business has got to go on, and engaging with customers has got to go on. We've had to change that recently, or we've been forced to change that recently. What's your view now? What's your message to your staff in terms of actually engaging with your customers, i.e., prospecting for new customers? We talked earlier, touched on it about cold calling or social selling, and should we be engaging and nurturing these opportunities, or should we just be calling up and just saying, look, have you got 30 seconds? I know it's a bad time, but I just want to speak to you. But what's your view and your message to your staff about how to engage with new customers?
I think we absolutely are. We've got 88,000 customers that we look after as an organisation. We absolutely owe it to every one of them to make sure they have the right tools to keep them in business. And that's the part from our sales point of view. This isn't about trying to sell them something, because I'm not here about trying to sell them something. What I am trying to do is make sure that we give them the tools to make sure they stay in the business. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen, there's a caption that I've seen online a couple of times where it shows, the guy's going to war, he's got a spear in his hand, and the sales guy's trying to sell him a machine gun. And it's just about, my view now is, how do we make sure that they've got all the tools they can stay in business? So that's the most important message from all of our teams. It's just, have they got everything that they need to continue?
Yeah, absolutely. David, look, you've been a fantastic guest. Thanks so much for your time. And the show will be out next week.
Thanks for joining us and listening to another episode of our Channel Chat podcast. If you've enjoyed what you've heard and are listening on iTunes, please could you give us a review and subscribe in order to get the newest episodes as soon as they're released. Otherwise, as always, we release an episode every Thursday at midday, so hopefully you can join us then.